Welcome to the webinar today. My name is Todd Rogers. I'm with Walter P. Moore, and we're going to be going over the civil view inside of 3ds Max. First off, I want to thank ATG for having me join them today to do this presentation. And so a little bit of background with me. I've been in the industry almost 30 years now, so I spent a lot of time in production and jumped over to the reseller side there for a while, for about 10 years, and back in production now. So I'm the BIM manager over at Walter P. Moore, and do a lot of visualization for them. So BIM graphics manager type role. I am Autodesk Expert Elite. I'm the secretary on the board of directors for Augie and the editor-in-chief for Augie World Magazine. So if you guys like to write an article for me, please reach out and write an article. I have to hustle those up every month, and sometimes it's rough. And if you'd like to get sponsored in that magazine, let me know. So I am not a PowerPoint type guy. So I'm just going to jump right in today's session. And let me share my screen here. So here we go. All right. I believe we are all systems go. And please let me know if you can't see my screen at this point in time. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to start off in InfraWorks. So I'm going to fire up InfraWorks here. Today I will be working with the 2023 products. All right, I am going to create a model. I actually thought I had one. Let me see if it's available here. Let's see, probably be the last one I did. No, next to last. No, looks like not. So we're going to make it simple. We're just going to go to Model Builder in case anyone's never seen Model Builder. So what this does is it grabs the roads, the buildings, the terrain from a few different sources. It grabs the terrain from USGS NED, National Elevation Data, and that's your terrain and aerial. Then it goes out and grabs open roads, excuse me, not open roads, open street maps for the roads and buildings. So I'm going to go to my old hometown of Johnson City, Tennessee, because it has a lot of relief in this town. We are in the Smoky Mountains, so I like to do this with a lot of relief because it makes it more appealing, you know, instead of looking at something where I'm at now in Houston, where it's completely flat. So I'm going to draw a rectangle around an area that I want, and I need something a little bigger than that. So let's go here and get some water in it, make it a little bigger. And we'll just call this Johnson City. All right, and I want to select the coordinate system for Tennessee. That's really only one giant coordinate system. That would be Tennessee 83F. And I'll create the model. Excuse me. So that takes it a minute. And what happens is it goes out and it pulls this data. And what it'll do is it'll come back and it'll email me. Okay. So got a question here while we're waiting from Victor Travis. So what is your suggested computer configuration processor and graphics card? Great question. I like using gaming computers now. I'm a big fan of the HP Omen. I just purchased a brand new one here recently. Let's see here. If we go about, you can see I'm only running 32 gig of RAM. It is 64-bit, and I am on Windows 11. So this is my personal computer. I prefer it over my my work computer. So if we go look at more specs here in the device manager, you can see that my video card is a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060. So it's a pretty heavy duty video card. These kind of standard these days, the RTXs. My processor is an i7. Xeon. No, it's not a Xeon because that wouldn't be an i7, would it? So yeah, it's not very heavy. I think it cost me around, I don't know, I think it was around 1,500 bucks. So it's, very reasonable in price compared to some of the ones that they purchase. And you try to run the software off of it and you get lagging and all this other stuff. It just, some of this really don't make no sense. You get the expensive ones and the Autodesk certified stuff, and it's just not up to par. It's kind of strange. You buy one like this, it runs just fine. So yeah. If you do have questions, feel free to type those in the Q&A there, and I'll get to them as I can. Probably once we get, heavy into the demonstration here, I'll save them to the end and answer those as I can. So just waiting here. So let's open up a model while we're waiting and go over a few things. So this is actually in Kerrville, Texas. There's a little bit of relief in Kerrville. You can see it does bring in your streets. It brings in your water areas. It brings in buildings in that area. Of course, the terrain. You can see the relief in the land as it goes behind us there. So, back when this was Infrastructure Modeler, we used to have to go out and pull this GIS data and attach these things manually, in this data connect thing. It was quite a task. So now they got the model builder, it goes out, pulls it for you. So pretty neat. So we got a question here, says, can we design a complete bridge structure with report in Indian standard as per RDSO standard? You can, and you can bring it into InfoWorks, absolutely. And we can push that right out into Max, as what we're going to do here in a little bit. What is built inside of InfoWorks itself, as far as bridge goes, is based off AASHTO. So, the Indian standard wouldn't pertain to. Now, there are some country kits. Let's go take a look at that real quick. So if we look at the country kits available for InfoWorks, you got Austria, France, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and the UK. So those are the only ones available for that. So I would recommend doing it in Revit or Open Roads, or excuse me, Open Bridge, and then just importing it into InfoWorks. Because you can see here, there's several different types of files that you can bring into InfoWorks. You got AutoCAD 3D objects, 2D overlays, and actual civil 3D drawing, IMX, Revit drawings, City GML, DGNs, IFC, the popular Land XML, point clouds, raster, SDF, shape, SQLite, SketchUp. If you look at 3D model here, there's 3ds, Collada files, DXF, FBX, and OBJs. So you can definitely get your bridge into the software. But as far as using the RDSO standards, I don't think it will help you out there. Let's go out here and look. Still not here. Lovely. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and get started. How's that? So I'm going to erase a couple of these roads over here because, like I said, I like to have a little relief when I'm doing this. That way it looks a little cooler. And I'm just going to draw in a component road. So I'm going to go create a component road. And here I'm just going to grab a standard 2-lane road. And we'll start by here. And we'll go across the little hill here. And we'll tie back into the street here. Now, as you can see, I didn't select a AASHTO standard. So what happens is the software will just put some complete turns in there like that. So we like curves. So I'm going to add curves in here by simply right clicking on those nodes or those vertices rather. And just takes a moment to do that. And you can stretch those out, make them more defined curves if you prefer. All right. So there we have it. And you'll also see that it just cut right into my ground like that. So what we want to do is we want to drape this road on top of the terrain. So I'm going to pick it, right click, and show that station in profile view. So when I do that, you can see it just shot a straight shot there. And I'm going to come here and pick this and drape the profile. Yes, I want to drape it. And now you can see it's laying on top of my terrain like so. All right. Now the workflow we're going to do today, we're going to do this in Max, and I'll show you how to animate this in Max. For a future lesson, if they have me come back, I can show how to bring it back into InfoWorks and have those cars moving inside of InfoWorks. Because as you know, everything in InfoWorks is pretty much static. There are some 3D models in here that are animated. I actually can show you how to animate things in Max and bring those in as a collada file. One thing I did at AU one year was to show a helicopter with the blades rotating and then bring it in here. It was pretty cool. So we can do that. We can show a plane flying in the air, and it's all done with feature lines, believe it or not. So one thing I want to take note of here is the distance between the center of the street. So here, let's do this. Let's convert this to a component road. And you'll notice when I do that, it'll create an intersection with lane markings. And we'll do that to the other road as well. Come here, convert. So when you're doing this and now we're not doing this today, but when you're bringing it back into InfoWorks, you want to make sure that you get a distance from the center of the road to the ER, right? So you want to come back all the way to the ER, and it's roughly 34 feet. Okay, we'll call it 34 feet. So the reason you do that is because when you bring the model back into InfoWorks, it won't show that car going all the way into the middle of the intersection, right? It'll just kind of disappear here before it gets to the intersection. And that's what you want for visual purposes, okay? So keep that in mind. So now what I want to do is I want to export this out as a FBX file, okay? So to do that, I go up to present and share, and I'm going to click this icon here to export a 3D model. And I don't want to use the entire model because I only want the road. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to select the polygon. And I'm just going to go around this road like so. No picking points within here. And coming back. Did I get that? I did not get that. So redo that. Oops. Start here, go here, here. Aren't you glad you guys didn't have to sit and watch a powerful, or it's not a powerful, but a painful PowerPoint? I don't dig PowerPoints. So remember, we have to set the coordinate system, right? TN83-F. Right there. There's no dash, but anyway. Now, if you got a big portion like if I was to use this entire model, I would come in here and I'd make sure I'd check this box to, for large FBX file format. Okay. So it just kind of helps with the processing. So I'm gonna go ahead and click export. Okay. You know why? I did change this to Texas. Oh boy, is it Monday again? So the program's smart enough to tell me that I'm an idiot, that, you're way out of that coordinate system. So remember, I switched it to a Texas thing instead of Tennessee. Didn't want to wait on it. So here I'm going to cancel that because I need to specify where I'm going to place this. I'm going to place it on my desktop. Click save and export. It only takes a second to export, as you can see. So we're pretty much done with InfoWorks at this point. So from here, we're going to run over to Civil 3D. We'll come here, open up Civil 3D. Don't know if you guys have used Civil 3D 2023 yet, but it is still on the 2018 drawing format. So you don't have to worry about backward compatibility back to 2018. And it seems to be utilizing more of the threads that are available through your processor. Not all of them, of course, but it's better than it has been in the past. So it's pretty nice to have a speedy program, right? As we all need. And here we go with people in my office asking questions. Sorry about that. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this. So the first thing I did that I messed up in is it's not FBX. It is IMX. FBX would be to bring it directly into InfoWorks, or excuse me, 3ds Max. IMX is the language between InfoWorks and Civil 3D. So sorry about that. Keep that in mind for sure. So we're going to go IMX instead of FBX. There's my road. Okay. So same thing, present and share, but we're going to click IMX and draw my polygon around here real quick. Done this 1,000 times. And of course, when you're doing something live, it never goes as planned. Okay, so that's Texas. Let's go place this here. You could give it a name if you want. I'm just going to keep it that. All right, so now back in Civil 3D, I'm going to go over here and set my coordinate system. You can set the coordinate system from within the import option here in a minute, and I'll show you that. But I like to set mine first. It's just a personal preference. I've had issues doing it the other way. So I'm going to click my insert tab, right? And I have this button here, open InfoWorks model. So I'm going to click that. And I'm going to go browse to that file. Now, by default, you'll see here, it is SQLite. So I want to change that to IMX. I'm going to go grab that IMX file. There it is, open. Now, this was what I was telling you, set a drawing coordinate system. If you didn't have a drawing coordinate system set, you could click this and use the InfoWorks model coordinate system, and it would go ahead and assign it. And like I said, I've had issues with that in the geolocation maps. So that's the reason I set mine before I imported in. No big deal. Now, the very important thing here, I don't know if you guys know, you can pull LiDAR from InfoWorks and bring it into Civil 3D and, use it all day long. And when you do that, you want to make sure that you bring in the existing ground here. And you don't need anything else for LiDAR purposes. Now, when you're doing this for 3ds Max, you want to pull all these surfaces. I don't know why it requires that. I've never quite figured that out yet, but it does require those to all come in. The planning roads, you don't need those. Now remember, we have the component roads. So we do want the component roads to come in. Now mine is named 224. That's Civil 3D's, or excuse me, InfoWorks way of naming things. It's kind of odd, but it's the way it is. I'll go ahead and bring the intersections in as well. Nah, we don't need those. And I'll click OK and click Open Model. So cool enough. It does build a corridor from your component road, which is super awesome. And it does create your surfaces and such. Now what I want to do is I want to turn off all these surfaces because I don't need those in my way. And we'll use Project Explorer to do so. Come on. And we'll set those to no display. If y'all don't use Project Explorer, you are missing out for sure. All right, so here we have, if you go here to profile view, I can go create the profile view, and it's the 224 road, remember? And let's go next. We'll do user specified 1620 1775. Boom. So there you can see it actually creates the proposed, and it also shows the existing grounds that come in with that as well. All right, super cool, huh? All right, so let's turn this corridor off for the time being. I can get rid of this feature line, or excuse me, alignment. I can get rid of this alignment. Whoops, undo that, but yep, that's right. That's the right one. Okay, so that is right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to go to feature line, create a feature line from alignment. So what this does is it takes and creates a feature line along this alignment horizontally and vertically. And that's what we need for 3ds Max. Now it's a very important you put this on a site with a name. If you put it on none, it's not going to work. If you put it on site 1, it's not going to work. So I'm going to create a new site here, and I'm just going to call it road. Keep it simple, right? And we'll make sure we check that. So it will name the feature line. Now, another important thing here too is you want to uncheck create dynamic link to the alignment. If you don't, it's not going to work. So I'm going to click OK. And I don't like to weed anything out, but we're going to just go ahead and let it be like it is because it said 0 is weeded out, right? Now, if I click on this, you'll see there the elevation points along this feature line. So there you'll see the elevations along it. It extracted all those elevations. Fantastic. We love it. Now, another important thing here to keep in mind is this feature line. If I keep it the way it is, when I bring it into Max, when that car goes down this road, it's going to go down this road per vertice, per elevation point. So it's not very intuitive to not do that or to keep it the way it is. So what you're going to do is we're going to insert elevation points along this thing. Now, the tighter you put them, the more smooth that road's going to be. So I'm going to do increments of 1 foot. And there you have it. I got a elevation shot every 1 foot here. Okay. Now, the other thing that I was telling you to not get it into the intersection is if you come here and we draw a line perpendicular to here, we move it to the endpoint of this feature line. Oops. And we offset that. What was it? 35 feet? Yeah, I think it was 35. And then we can trim that bad boy, right? So we say here, and we hit the trim, and I select this line, and then I trim my feature line back to there. Like so. That way the cars don't go into the intersection, okay? All right, let's run up here and do the same to this side. Perpendicular. We'll move that. And we'll offset another 35 feet. And pick our feature line. Do trim. And trim it from that edge. All right. Now we're ready to go into Max. So what is the file format to export into Max? Oh, you don't need a file format, right? You don't. Nope. You go up here to the output tab and look at there, export to 3ds Max. Simple for you. As you will see, this is a VSP 3D export. So this will create a C3D VSP. Actually, it's going to be, I think it's just VSP 3D. We're about to find out. How's that? So we can check or uncheck the things we don't want to come into Max. For example, we want the proposed ground. We'll go ahead and bring in all the we don't want the transportation, the existing transportation. The most important thing is this, the feature line. That is the most important thing. We'll go ahead and bring in the corridor 2. We probably won't use it, but I just want to show you how it comes into Max, okay? So I'm going to hit us export, and there is the file format, VSP3D. So in the Q&A or chat, can somebody tell me what this used to be called? And we'll carry on from there. So I'm going to save this. I'll call it road. And there it exported very quickly. Now I'll go ahead and fire up 3ds Max. And looks like I haven't got the new one installed, which is okay. We'll still use 2022. So nobody knows the answer to the VSP 3D. There was a add-in back in the day called Dynamite VSP. And that was what the export file format was originated from. So it's since called Civil View. So Civil View is an add-in to 3ds Max. And when you install 3ds Max, it asks you if you want to install Civil View upon installation. You want to make sure you check that box. Okay. And you'll see it shows up here. Now the initial, go away. The initial thing here is to click it, and then it asks for, it used to not ask for this, but it does now. So we want to set it feet. We want US Imperial or wherever you're at, and click OK. And it'll ask to restart for the very first fire up. Now, once you set those settings, it'll never ask you that again. Okay. And you won't have to get out of Max and back in. Okay. All right. So now go to Civil View, initialize it. There it goes. So now it's open. You do not have to know 3ds Max to use this operation. I know 3ds Max very little, enough to do a little bit of animation and bring it into InfraWorks. As most of y'all know, Max is a very heavy program, and it's a very hard program to learn. So you don't have to know Max to do this. It's very simple what we're going to do here. But one thing I want to take a look at is if I go up to Civil View, and go to Preferences, over here on my resource kit paths, make sure you're set to US Imperial. And on the location tab, I'm going to change mine to miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's where you do that. So I'll click OK. And let me close a few of these things here. Get them out of our way. So I want a large. Let's see here. All right. Let's do perspective. No. Come on. See, this is what I'm talking about Max. It drives me nuts sometimes. So I want to maximize that viewport. This is what I want. All right. So now I'm going to import my stuff. So I'm going to go to Civil View, Geometry Import, and there you can see the Civil 3D file I want to import. So I'm going to go grab that. And here you can sit and check all these off one by one, or you can right click and select all like so, and click OK. Now, this is a global import shift thing that comes from Civil. As we all know, we work in real world coordinates in Civil 3D. In Max, it doesn't understand that, similar to Revit. So what it does is it moves everything close to Max's 0,0. So this gives you a global import shift from your X and Y here. Now, it's important to note that if you are doing what I'm showing you how to do today and you want to bring it back into InfraWorks, that this number is important because you have to use it during the import back into InfraWorks. We're not doing that today, but just keep that in mind for future reference. Do you wish to adopt this? Yes, we have to. And then it asks for feature interpolation style or interpretation styles. Yes, fine, whatever. Okay. So there you have it. You can see it brings in my existing ground. It brings in my corridor and things. So if you hold the Alt key down and then your mouse wheel, that's how you would orbit in Max. Okay. Now, one thing you can do is you can change this to, different types of materials. And that's something you can get into at a later date. I'm simply going to erase it like so. I'm going to erase this one, and we're going to be stuck with this right here. This is all we really need for this purpose today. You'll see it brings in a nice texture for our road, even shows you all the oil stains on the road, which is kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to go to Civil View, and open up the Civil View Explorer. Now, when this opens, I'm going to double click it and it will dock itself over here to the left. Okay. And this is simply an area where everything you're working with here will show up over here. There's some editing that can be done, and I'll go over that once we get into this a little more heavy. So moving on, let's go ahead and place some cars on here. So I'll go up to Civil View, Object Placement Style Editor. Now, before I do this, I want to take note. If I go to Civil View, Road Marking Style Editor, you are able to place road markings on this road. For example, I'm going to add one here, and we'll make the color yellow. Excuse me if it's not as yellow or exactly yellow. I'm extremely colorblind, so keep that in mind. We want that 4 inches, so 0.33. You got your mark lengths. You got a gap length there, so gap length. Let's put 3 feet in between them. The mark length, we probably want 3 feet. Let's make this like 1.5 or something. I don't know. Center gap. So here you can see what we're building over here to the right. Okay. Then you want to pick your shape that you're doing this off of. Of course, it's going to be the feature line. And we could use instancing if we wanted to. So we'll go ahead and apply that. There you can see it places the road marking. Not too shabby, huh? We can go ahead and put a larger gap in there, maybe 3 feet. So there you go. So that's how you place markings on the road. Very, very easy. Now we'll go back up to civil view and place some cars and such. We'll go up to civil view, object placement style editor. This is where the fun stuff happens, right? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select our parent shape. So our parent shape is that feature line, right? So we'll select it and make sure it says it's the feature line. Yes, it is. Yay, we're good. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pick this button, add a new element. So I'm going to pick add a new element. So we have 4 tabs here. We can place vehicles. We can place furniture like lamps and things. We can place trees, signs, cameras. So we're going to focus on vehicles, furniture, and cameras. Okay. So I want cars. So I'll click the cars here. And you'll see all the cars that are available here for you. Okay. We don't need a parent surface because the feature line is vertical and horizontal. Remember? Yep. All right. The longitudinal placement, I want to place multiple at random stations. Now keep in mind, we're doing 20 going one direction and 20 the other direction. That's a lot of cars. And the more you have, the more it will take to process this. So I'm just going to say 10. Okay. And you want your miles per hour. So the miles per hour, let's make it 45. And anybody that's familiar with InfoWorks knows that their lane width is 11 point something. It's so weird. Okay, so yeah. So we want a horizontal placement of something like 5.5. We can change this here in a minute. So the other thing here is we want to make sure we use random objects from the selected category. So we'll check that box and we'll hit apply. So there you can see it places the cars. And if I move my scrubber here, you can see how those cars will move along this road, right? Now remember, this is our intersection right here. So if you wanted to bring that back into InfoWorks, notice those cars do disappear before they get to the intersection. So that's the reason we do that trim. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now what I want to do is I want to other side of the road. I want some cars. So I'm simply going to come here. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to copy it and then paste it. Now, the weird thing about this is everything has to be the opposite, right? So we got all of our settings here because we copied and pasted, but our miles per hour is going to be negative 45 miles per hour. Our horizontal offset is going to be negative 5.5 and our rotation will be 180. And I'll go ahead and click apply. And when I move my scrubber bar, you'll see there now we have traffic on both sides of the street. Now, sometimes when it does its randomization, you're going to have a car on top of another car. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. Okay. And, you know, using my scrubber through here, it looks to be that we're pretty good to go. It doesn't look like we got any overlapping cars anywhere along this road. But if I did, the way you fix that is you pick this car. Notice you have station control over here. So I can move that car. Note, you see that gizmo that's running up and down the road there? That's where your car will be placed. So if I let off of it, see how it brings the car in. You know, other things that you can do as well is you can come in here to your vehicles and you can change color of the vehicle and certain things of that nature. So keep that in mind as well. All right. Very cool. All right. So let's go ahead and let's place, I'm looking at the time here. So we're good on time. Let's place some light poles in here. So let's do 45-foot single column light pole. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and see what it did there. You see how it messed up my thing? So I have to go back and do cars again. And that was 10, right? And then negative 45, 5.5. There we go. Yep. So you got to make sure that you do this, close it. Now you can save this style if you want to retrieve this for later usage, but I don't want to. And I'll close it. I'll go back up to civil view and go back to object placement. Here we're going to add a new element. The parent shape this time, I'm going to pick this feature line on the side here. Looks like it didn't create that feature line this time, so we'll go ahead and use this one again. Now that's the crown of the road, so that's the wrong one. And it's going to be that one. Okay, there we go, feature line. And we'll go to furniture. And again, we'll select a 45-foot single. And we'll place them at a regular interval this time, right? Because light poles will be, you know, dynamically spaced. It's not miles per hour. We're not doing anything different. We'll just click apply. And there you can see the light poles show up. Okay. Now, the one thing we want to do is offset those. We want to offset those probably 12 feet. So we'll hit apply there. Yep, 12 feet looks pretty good. All right. So again, we can copy, paste, and we're going to keep everything except for the horizontal offset, which would be negative 12. Click apply. But the rotation is wrong. So it'd be 180. Apply. There we go. So there's our lights along the road. Now we could do signs if we wanted to. No, just to show you an example, we'll go ahead and place some signs in here. We'll do miscellaneous. Now notice I messed up again, right? So we need to go fix this. That's why I like to close it first and then restart my process. Okay, 200, negative 12, looks right. Okay. Don't say. All right. Yeah. There we go. All right. So we're going to add an element, select the parent shape. Boom. All right. Now you can add all these in the list in just one go, but if you got something highlighted and change it, there's no way to undo it. That's why it's easier to close it and just start over with a new one here. So let's go with signs, miscellaneous signs, regular intervals, 20 signs. Do we need that many? No, let's go with 10. They don't need miles per hour. Let's go with a 15-foot offset and use random ones. Hit apply. It's a lot of signs. Oh man. It's because I did regular interval, not multiple random station. So apply. There we go. That's much better. All right, let's copy and paste. Now I want you to notice it didn't place signs where there's no surface for it to. So if I change this to 20, I don't think it's going to, yep, they're showing up on the outside of it. Okay, that's cool. That'll work. All right, so let's copy paste this. And we'll just change this to negative and apply. There we go. Oh, 180. Don't forget that. 180. apply. There we go. Cool. All right. So now we got some signs, some street lights, some cars. Now the next thing we need to do is animate ourselves going down the road, right? All right. So let's do that. So let's go to civil view, object placement style editor. And we're going to add, select your parent shape. This time I'm going to select the civil 3D baseline for this because it will start at the beginning. Okay. We're going to place a camera, and I always do the 35mm lens. Don't ask me why. I don't know the difference between them. I just know it's a wide angle lens. Okay. All right. So once I do that, I'm going to hit apply, and it places this right there. Now we do want a vertical offset. We want to be up in the air looking at this. So let's go with maybe 10 foot, and we'll test that. So it places us about right there. All right. Also, I want you to keep in mind the miles per hour. We set the cars at 45 miles per hour. You don't want the camera going the same speed as the cars. Otherwise, you won't see the randomization, right? So you want to go a little bit slower. So we'll go 35 miles per hour. Apply that and click OK. All right. Now, if I hit play here, oh, wow, that looks neat. Look at the camera. It's going with the flow. That's not how you want to do it, folks. Let's do it the right way. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to where it says perspective, and we're going to click camera, and you'll see there it saved my camera view. So I'm going to click that. Now I can hit the play button, and we'll go on down the road here. You'll see the cars are pretty smooth because we did set that interval at 1 foot on the feature line. Now, if you didn't do that, that car would look like it's got hydraulics and be riding a low rider up and down the street, right? Now you can add different things in the background. You can add an environment background to where it looks like mountains are behind you, or it look like more like a scene, going down the road as a scene, right? It wouldn't be so bland as this one. I've played around with it a little bit. It's kind of tough, but not really. I mean, take some Googling and researching. It's not too bad because the problem with it is you have to have a dome environment, right? That way it looks correct. So if you wanted clouds in the sky, what have you, just to show you an example of that, if we go here and I'll go and we'll open up, let's say clouds in the sky. How's that? Clouds in the sky. Go to images. And we'll just go to this image here and see if I can get this. Yeah, save image as. Put that here. Let's call it sky. And we'll jump back over here to max. And let's go see if I can remember how to do this. It's under views. Configure viewport background. Use custom, use environment background. Okay, so apply that to the view. Let's see, where is it? I can't remember right off the top of my head. If this thing would get out of my way. Come on, get out of the way. Roll up. There we go. Let's just move it out of the way. How's that? It's under rendering environment. And you're going to want to change your background to use a map. So we'll click here where it says none. And we go down to environment. environment background switcher. We double click that. And hold on. Where is it? Oh, come on. Environment background switcher. Is that the right one? No, HDRI environment. My bad. Then we can go, well, we're just going to use one right out of the box. How's that? An evening road. And it's not going to look very good. It's going to look kind of cheesy. So keep that in mind. All right. So default shading, environment background. Let's see. How do we get this? We stop it. There we go. Then we play it again. There you go. So yeah, if you had an actual surface, it wouldn't look like we're above the environment like so, right? So you get the idea. So Q&A time. That's pretty much it for today. So I got a question here. Can you bring in more of the InfoWorks data to use as background elements? Not really. Unfortunately, you can't. You'd have to do it the way I just did it. Now, as far as the InfoWorks data into Civil 3D, yeah, it works just fine. But bringing it into Max, it just doesn't work. You have to do things manually, like you just saw me do this. Now, there's some good tutorials on YouTube of how to create an actual background environment. And when you do that, you surely want to use that existing ground that I deleted earlier, right? All right. Any more questions? This is being recorded, so you can definitely go back and watch this at a later date if you miss something. So I got a question here. Do you prefer to animate in Max or InfoWorks? Great question. If you want me to be completely honest and transparent about it, I use InfoWorks to set up the environment, and then I take it out of Autodesk products and bring it into Twinmotion. Twinmotion, if you don't know, runs off the Unreal Engine. Victor's pretty familiar with this. And it's super, super realistic. Was actually working on it right before this presentation. So if you would like to see what that looks like, I can do that. Take me just a second here. It's very, very, very cool software, by the way. And if you don't have it, so what I would do is I'd export it out of InfoWorks. So got about 8 minutes to go here. So it'll be just enough time to show you this project I'm working on. And the funny thing is, it is in this area right here. So I did use this as the basis of the design. So basically, it's just an area, this area right here. They're building some lofts. You'll see here, I put in some coverage areas to smooth the to shape the terrain, right? To make it nice and level. When I do this, I make sure that I don't put crowns in the street. I make those completely flat as well. And I just export that out as FBX, and it comes right into Twinmotion. And let's see, show you here, launch it. And while it's opening my project, I'll explain a little bit further there. So yeah, this is the basis of it right here before I go into animation, right? And I'd like to get ATG to sponsor one of these presentations one day. I think you guys really like this. I use it quite a bit. TxDOT absolutely loves it. TxDOT being Texas Department of Transportation. Another question here. Can we use these blocks and lamp posts for quantification purposes? Very good question. Yes, you can, because Max does keep account of all that. There's a little number in parentheses to all the objects in there. So yeah, you very well could. Absolutely. Great question. Another question here, Lumion versus Twinmotion. I have used both. They are almost identical. I mean, literally almost identical. I do prefer Twinmotion over Lumion though, because they were purchased by Unreal a couple of years ago, and there is things in Twinmotion that Lumion does not have. For example, a thing called, what is it called? Cubex. Cubex is a whole bunch of objects that you can go out and pull that are not already in the software. I think it's Cubex. What is it called here? Let's see. Quixel. Okay, Quixel. That's it. So you can pull a bunch of objects out. So you can see here, it's totally animated. So easy to set up this environment. Of course, the road paths that you see here with these dots do not show up when you render it to a video or a still shot. But you can see here, I got some folks up here grilling out, because that's what I like to do, grill out and drink some beers. But yeah, man, you can get as detailed as you want with this software. I'm currently over here working on putting this fence in. Unfortunately, the fence I had to do in Formant. So what I did is I created half this fence in Formant. So I'm having to place this bad boy one by one down through here. So kind of a pain. So, but you can see it's very cool software, man. I absolutely dig it. So yeah, that is Twinmotion. Let's see here. What? I just missed that. What is the accuracy of elevations as compared to LiDAR survey data and InfoWorks model builder data? If you're talking about this does use InfoWorks's terrain. So I do use InfoWorks's terrain. And if I had a proposed surface, I would use that inside of InfoWorks before exporting out to FBX to use in this right here. Okay. The accuracy of national elevation data is not very accurate, in my opinion. It's just for, preliminary stuff. So if you did have survey data or point cloud data and brought that into InfoWorks, it would be a lot more accurate when you export it out and bring it into Twinmotion. Twinmotion does support point clouds now. And awesome. I'm coming back to do a Twinmotion presentation. I'd love to. Yeah. So I taught it at AU 1 year, and everybody loved it. So it was a big hit. Unfortunately, they didn't pick that class this year. So I got 1 out of 6 that I'll be doing. So it's 11:57. I do want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank ATG for having me today. And other than that, if you got any questions, I thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Hopefully I'll see you in AU as well. And thanks everybody. And we will talk soon. And don't forget to contact me if you want to write me an article for something. It's todd.rogers@augie.com. And with that, you guys have a great rest of the week.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.